Now, I'm gonna start off being like, obviously, I'm very much biased. I like Markiplier. I like his stuff. I like what he's done. But I'm gonna say that my biasy towards him and liking stuff he's made on YouTube did not translate to his first film. Like, this is his first official film. Like, yeah, he's made stuff that he's written and directed, but they were more tied to his YouTube channel. This is his first official thing, not tied to anything he's done, not tied to a persona he's created, not tied to his channel, and not like a choose your own adventure thing. This is something he has made for theaters, and that is a very different way to look at the film. And for his first attempt, I think he did a phenomenal job. Now, I want to talk about the stuff I didn't like about it first. One, I will say that sometimes the film is slow, but I feel like it fits the game he was adapting, which is one of the reasons why the game also has such a mixed response. Because the idea of being stuck in one location for an entire movie is very hard to do. This is something you expect a filmmaker to do, like as a short or as like they're very experienced and know how to do it. This being Mark's first venture into like actual filmmaking is incredibly like insane for me. Like, to make a movie centered in one location and you never leave this location. Like, the entire movie is never set outside of the sub, which I loved. Because in my opinion, I think it would have actually been worse had we cut away and like seen what everyone was doing up on the space station. Like, I'm glad the movie was like, let's set it on the sub and that's all we get. That's all the content we get, that's all the things we get, that's all what you see. You only see the sub. It creates the same vibe that the game was trying to build, where you don't see anything going on outside, and it adds to the fear factor. So, like, to me, the runtime worked in its favor, and in my opinion, the like whole idea of setting the film in one location and recreating how it feels in the game so well is honestly really cool, because like there's so much fear of the unknown that drives this film. So I will say that if you don't have fear of the unknown, if you don't have claustrophobia, and if you don't have like fear of the depths of the ocean, high probability this film isn't going to scare you that much. Like, it really plays on the specific fears that you expect a situation like the character Simon is in to work on you. So for me, someone with claustrophobia, someone with like who has a deathly fear of like the depths of the ocean, it worked because like just the idea of being stuck in this location and you're so deep into an ocean, and it's not even a normal ocean, it's an ocean of fucking blood. Your emotions and everything you feel tend to like be amplified as you realize you're kind of really stuck in the situation. I think Mark played the role of Simon extremely well with that, because like anytime he like realized the severity of the situation, he slowly lost his sanity more and more from that moment. And to me, it really plays to that. I also love that the film in general just like really makes you sit and think about certain things, because like they obviously Mark could have shot it where like you see what's happening all the time. Like anytime something scary happens, Simon takes a photo. But no, you only see the monster once before the climax, and it is genuinely really fucking horrifying to see it. But like all in all, the fear factor worked extremely well for me. But I do understand that slow burn horror and also a lot of the fears that Mark was using for this film will not work for everyone. So to some like me, that it felt like a really good like slow burn horror, and it just got scarier and scarier and scarier as it kept going. To some, this could just be the most boring piece of shit film you've ever laid your eyes upon, because it just focuses more about the fear of the unknown and just being stuck in a closed space. And to some people, that's not scary. That's just boring. So I get that. I do have some minor criticisms towards the film. The major one is audio mixing. It doesn't feel like this film was mixed the best of its abilities. Sometimes the characters on the speakers were like impossible to hear, and it felt like I really had to like zone in on the movie to hear what they were saying. Like, it was weird and it was definitely not the best. I know I can't really talk because I know I have audio mixing issues myself with editing. It is very hard to mix audio because like you usually mix it. Like the way you have to mix audio, especially in film, is you have to like the final stage of the mixing process, you have to like put it in like kind of a surround sound situation so that we can see how it truly sounds in like a surround sound theater. And I don't want to assume Mark did that or he didn't do that. I just think like maybe and like audio is such a hard thing to get right in general because what you think sounds good for you might not sound good for another person. So like what could have sounded good if he went to a sound recording area to like do the mixing, it could have sounded amazing for him. And then in other theaters, the speakers could have been bad or out of date and shit like that. So to those speakers, the film, it just sounds like a bunch of garbled mess sometimes. And also, like, that was pretty much the only thing. Also, the third act, while scary and stressful as all hell, it definitely was hard to tell what was going on. I mean, half of that could have been because I was hiding in my flannel half the time, but you know, we're not gonna address that part. I mean, seriously, that's what happened. There's a point. I'm not gonna spoil it, but like, there's a point in the movie where like something happens, and I was just kind of like hiding in my shirt and like kind of like cowering towards one of my friends. It was definitely really awkward. I'm 23. I watched The Thing. I watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I've watched tons of scary movies. I can handle this. Apparently I can't. I think it was just because, like I said, claustrophobia, in at least in The Thing and in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the body horror at least is in an open area. So there's at least a lot of chances you can move around and escape. Poor Simon was just trapped in a fucking sub while this shit was happening, and it was just... Now, originally I was gonna write this review like with a script, but I think I'm just gonna speak from the heart. Like, because I don't think Mark's ever gonna watch this because, you know, I don't even, like, I don't think he will. But, like, if somehow it ever reaches him, I do want to say, like, this movie has shown a lot of indie filmmakers, myself included, that it is possible for us to do something with feature films without going the traditional Hollywood path. I do believe that in film school I was taught that we have to pursue the industry. And I've always heard horror stories about how the industry doesn't respect artistic intent and all these other things, and it's so hard to get what you want out of what you're creating when working with studios. And I think Mark's shown that while his situation is incredibly rare, you know, there's definitely an argument to be made that you have to have like a bunch of subscribers or a big following on the internet to be able to do what he did. I do think that there's also a huge lesson to be learned in just like pursuing what you want to make in the indie circles. And that maybe it could lead to something. Like, don't just hope that you get your chance in Hollywood. If there's a movie you want to make, there is a way you can make it. Now, I'm not going to say everyone should do what Mark did and make a $3 million blockbuster horror film. No. You should make a small film within what you know you can afford. But it has to be something you believe in, which I truly believe is like the lesson to take from this. I believe this film will impact indie filmmaking in a big way, kind of like how Glitch impacted indie animation in a big way. There's a lot of love. Like, once again, Mark's situation and how the film got to so many theaters worldwide, incredibly rare. Not possible for someone like me to do that. But it doesn't mean like you should be like, oh, what happened here is not something that can ever happen. Like, there's always that chance. And always pursue indie if you have a story you believe in and you feel stuck. In my opinion, that's the lesson a lot of filmmakers should take from this film. That's the lesson I took from it. Because I was kind of stuck after graduating college on what I was going to do next. There's so many avenues I could take. And I'm still kind of figuring that out, but I think this movie helped like kind of like push me to like be like, I can still try to make something I'm proud of. Even if it's not like going to get as big of a reach. as Markiplier's biggest film is gonna get. Yeah, I love this film. I implore everyone watch it in theaters. I don't know if it's gonna be in theaters next weekend, so I guess try to see it when you can. Now, with non-scripted videos, it's hard for me to be like, oh, I'm gonna make a funny joke and I'm gonna talk about stuff. You know, this is kind of difficult. Like I said, for movies I just watched and I'm like, I'm gonna make a review about them, I'm never gonna script them because it's a lot harder for me to like talk about feelings for a film that like in a shorter form versus like going more in depth on something. But anyway, I guess everyone's wondering. I don't know, maybe no one is. What are my opinions on the Iron Lung popcorn bucket? It's the only good one because you can get it for free. All right, bye.